it was announced that it slipped in weapon level 11. I always say ability 11, but it's level 11. But it just slipped in, they said. So I was like, okay, slipped in. That's a bit weird, but obviously I know that previously they usually balance these things. They say they've got a 5-star version in the game, in the files, ready to go. It's just not been balanced and made. Just a 4-star version with a bit of an uplift. So I thought, oh, okay, it might have been pre-programmed, might have been pre-done, and they flipped the switch by accident, and they've gone, oh well, you know what, we might as well release it now. It was probably coming at some point anyway. There you go, guys. Enjoy it. So I was like, okay, don't read too much into it. So we're going to have a look at some of the level 11s for these combat-owned weapons now as well. And so I'll have a look through and see, like, is there any that are, like, stand out good? So we've also done a review of the few that got released first. We're sort of, like, testing the water and brought a few out. Then they brought some more out, which were like, nah. And so now they're just going to have the rest. So let's have a look. So we spoke previously about obviously Nightstick being absolutely amazing. So his damage boost up to 41%, which is actually a standard now for most of the bots that give normal damage if you bot to 32. The 41% is actually quite normal. But the difference to this one is that it also gives you a 30% life drain as well. So the main thing about Nightstick is that healing, that life drain that he gets. So it's not just damage boost, but it's the life drain. And because you're doing more damage and you're getting more of a life drain, it doubles up into even more healing. So Nightstick is still the standout one for me. Yes, this has been out before, it's nothing new, but I'm just saying this is what we're looking for. We're looking for not just a damage increase or a health increase, we're looking for something else that makes the combat what it is. And to give you an idea, on the flip side, we talked about glitch. And when you look at glitch, it just gives you a more of a critical chance. And I was like, meh, that's alright. But, if it gave you 2.5 more damage, or it gave you 35% more from all sources, more damage, it'd be a bit more worthwhile. Or maybe give it that and the critical chance. 2 parts to it. So although this is a alright upgrade for glitch, it's not something that I would just throw a binary bond at. They're hard to get, they're hard to achieve, they're expensive. It's not something to just throw around. So yes, it is in-game content, but it's something to be careful with. So with Nightstick sort of being the bar, with maybe Flak being a close second, because it's 47% over 5 rockets, so it's 8% over 5, so 8, 16, 24, 32, 40% increase in damage, if maths are right. So yeah, that's quite good. That's the bar we're looking at, a decent upgrade that you're going to notice on the battlefield, that you're going to go, wow, this is well worth that binary bond. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to look at some of the more prevalent combats and weapons that are used in the game. We could go through every single one, and I think we're going to be here for quite a while. But we're going to look at some of the main ones that people are using. I think that the main combat that sort of come out this year that everyone's kind of using is CL. It seems that everyone's using CL rather than Rung. I wasn't too sure when it came out. Thought it was very similar to Rung. And so let's have a look at CL. Let's have a look at Rung. Compare the two in terms of level 11. So the good thing about CL is that you get the 2 compartments for a binary bond. So you get an increase in reflection to 28%. That's alright. It's not amazing. But a 12% zone heal, which is pretty good, to be fair. Extra 12% zone heal. And if you look at Rung, then we're looking at sort of similar stats as well. But instead of the reflection, it's the protection. So I think CL and Rung are still good options. I've actually upgraded Kunai by accident. But Kunai, it kind of just increases the healing a bit. It's nothing crazy again. Nothing really impressive. Buzz Strike, damage boost. I was quite disappointed by this. I mean, you got hack immunity. You can't change that. The 32 DPS to 41%. But make it 4 seconds as well. Or make it 2.5 times the bot's DPS. Just give it a bit more rather than just damage increase. Because we see its damage increase on quite a few bots. It's the same on Windstrike as well, and it's similar on Top Shot. I think it's got an area increase, just the one. So there's quite a few bots like that where they've just got a bit of a damage increase. Pinpointer, you got a bit more of a life drain, but it's only 10%, and it's 10% of his damage, so the damage does equate into it, but I don't think that 10% is as much. When you look at the 10% there, and you compare that to the Nightstick, you know what I mean, of being 30% life drain, as well as a 9% damage increase, you know, it's 30%, it's a big uplift. You know, that's what we want to see in these. It's like a 30% uplift. You know, you got to, wait, 24% there for Top Shot, another 24%, but considering Top Shot doesn't do a crazy amount of damage, 24% is not actually that much. So, not really impressed with the damage increase bots like Windstreak, like Buzzstrike, bots like that. Not really impressed. Then we go to the likes of Enerax. Enerax is massive in the meta at the minute, used a lot by a lot of people, and it's a health boost. That's it. You know, instead of that, should have had, instead of 32% health boost going to 35, 3% is nothing. It should have granted additional healing as well. The health of when he becomes a weapon, when he sort of, you know, upon death into a minion, 2000 is here and there. So I wouldn't waste a binary bond on Enerax. Then we're going to look at Jazzy, massive on defense at the minute. But 3% protection again, just 3%. You know, rather than that, every 15 seconds gain 25% health maybe, or something like that. Or dealing 2 times the bot's DPS and disabling shields. Just something else. You know, a lot of these have 2 compartments. They all should have 2 compartments. I think. Zor again, just health and damage increase. All the minions have got this. Stripes, health and damage. So all the minions, just health and damage. I just think that's very lazy programming, just to give the minions go across the board, give them health and damage increase. There's no thought into it. Same with Sidetrack as well, just health and damage. SB Optimus Prime is health, damage, and a damage boost though, as well. So there is a 3rd compartment to this. So they've actually thought a bit into this one, I think, and gone, maybe we should give it a bit extra, a bit of something. And so I don't mind that too much, that there's 3 compartments. The health and damage is here and there. It's not going to do much. But I do like the fact that they've actually put a 3rd compartment on there. So it means they've thought about it, at least, the new content. Big Daddy, again, just health and damage increase. So not much of a change there. Then if we go on to weapons. So this is one I was most excited about. I thought this would be pretty cool. Weapons are quite big in the meta right now. Everyone's sort of going for weapons. They cost 7,500 shards rather than 5,000 shards. So maybe, just maybe, they gave them that bit extra. And I was intrigued, thinking like, this could be the one where people really segregate weapons from combats. And this is where they, you know, they excel. So Cosmic Rust Blaster gets damage boost. Just a standard damage boost, which all the other combats got. You see 32 to 41%. You can see there, just a standard damage boost. I was like, okay, well, it's just that. Sword of Balance gets a 1% ability upgrade. 1%. I think that's one of the worst ones in the game. 1%. And it seems to me, like, because you've got Amalgamous, because you've got this, you've got all this ability level on Sentius and everything else like that, and all this on it, gone, oh, well, we can't go above 27%. We'll make it 28. Well, if that's your ceiling, 27%, and you're worried that 1% is going to give him that bit extra, then give him extra reflection instead. You know, I don't understand it. Increase the pulse instead. Do something else. Rather than giving 1%. 1 million combat spark and a binary bond for 1% ability damage. Now when you're talking 1% ability damage, I think I've already got the 4-star. but we're talking 1%. It's quite easy to work out. Sentis Magnus, 4-star maxed. So he does 2,700 damage. So divide that by 10. That's 274. And divide it by 10 again. That's an extra 27 damage a second for 10 seconds, which is 270 damage. You're getting an extra. So at night now, it does 27k damage. And you're getting an extra 274 damage. Just madness. Absolute madness. 1%. It's almost insulting getting 1% increase in ability damage. Anyone who's done this, if I had 100 binary bonds, I wouldn't even use it for this. Really, really poor. And so, can Forge of Soulless Prime steal it out the bag? It's actually not bad. This is the one weapon where I'm like, it's not too bad. I don't think it hit it out the park, but I think out of the 3 weapons, it's probably the best one. And it's probably the best weapon as well, to be fair. So the bot combined the damage boost up to 2.2. It's not great, but it's more. But then the healing amount was up to 28% as well. But again, it's got 2 compartments. So we talk about these, these weapons and these combats having 2 compartments as a minimum. I think that should be a standard for all level 11s. For all these, it should have 2 compartments. Other than that, it looks like really lazy programming. Giving health and DPS to a minion should be standard, and something that makes that combat unique. So Dial, give it double the fire. For Zor, give him more range or something. Just give them something else to make it beneficial, rather than just health and DPS, which is lazy. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Are any of these you've done already? Are you impressed by any of these? Is there any you're looking forward to? Have you used any binary bonds already? What have you used them on already? Let me know. But for me, there's a few standout ones like CL, like Nightstick, Forge of Soulless Prime. I'll probably stick it on those. Maybe Flak. After that, I'm not too bothered. Not too bothered. I mean, people will say, yeah, but if you're getting 3% on everything and you've got 8 combats in your team, it does add up. Yeah, granted. But then, are you willing to go and spend maybe $500 on binary bonds to go and do that? To give your team like 5% increase? That's the big question you need to ask yourself. The cost involved. Have a think, guys.